Good morning. I wanted to speak about John Todd's story or the testimony of John Todd Collins, because I really believe him, but it took me a while. When I first heard his testimony, I didn't believe it. That's too far out. That's insane. Like, and he was like this. He was on the Druid Council and whatever, and he was in the. He had a ministry basically where he talked about growing up in a witchcraft bloodline, and Fritz Springmeier's book, The Bloodlines of the Illuminati. One of the bloodlines is called Collins, and the Collins bloodline was involved in the Salem witch trials. They're famous for that. So, and they're also famous for bringing witchcraft to America. And his testimony is very, very long, but it's still, if you see, the more you listen to him, the more you must see that he's not lying. And what happened to him then was, after he had made these lectures about the Illuminati and so on, and he said a few things that were very, very specific, like they have many names, and in Wicca they are sometimes called Mariah or the Crying Wind, something like that. And he talked about many such specific things, like them being called Mariah, having different names, so on and so forth, and that there is a political side to the occult which he did not understand for the longest time, because after he was in Vietnam, he was stationed in Germany and he shot an officer, and he expected to go to prison for life. And then his mother showed up with a senator, and he was released in all honors from the military. It never happened. That's when he realized that there is a political side, and he said to his stepmother, I think, wow, far out, I didn't know that there were senators who are witches. And she said, no, they're not witches, they just belong to us. And it took him some time to understand what she meant. They just belong to them. So there is a political side to the occult. If you listen to John Todd's testimony, and his real name was John Collins, and if you ever watched like the Twilight movies or any other vampire story, they are mostly called Collins or Cullen or something like that. In Twilight they're called Cullen. In the movie with Johnny Depp, he is called Barnabas Collins, which would be John Todd's great-grandfather, Barnabas, who was a very famous war hero, supposedly, if I can remember correctly, because I'm speaking from memory. I don't have that printed out or something. So what was the one thing that yeah, what he said about rock music, that's what I wanted to talk about. He when he came back from Vietnam, he was involved with the music industry, and after he came to Christ, he met a man, a friend of his, by the name of David Crosby, and he asked him, "What's the real reason for rock music?" And he said to him, "You know what the real reason is." And he said to David Crosby from Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. He's still alive, very famous. So he said to him, "You know what the real reason is?" And he answered, "Yeah, but I've been gone for so long. In Vietnam, I was like away for 5 years." And then he said, "It's the same reason from when you were in. The reason is so that we can put spells on people on which we cannot cast spells upon. Because being a Christian will protect you from witchcraft. But if you listen to rock music, you are doing it knowingly and willingly out of your own will, and you're then not protected from these spells. And there are spells in rock music. Everyone, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but if you heard about EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, you, like I said, in the spirit world, there's no time. So often you can hear spirits if you reverse the audio and listen to it backwards. And people make jokes about that and say things like, if you listen to Led Zeppelin backwards, then you are the devil. But there was a real court case concerning that, hidden messages in music. There was a real court case concerning that. So if you listen to crap or watch television and South Park every evening, and I'm guilty of that, if you do that, you will not be protected from the evil influence. Even if you are the most Christian in the world, you will not be protected. So it took a while for him to explain what he meant by that. The real reason for rock music is that we can put spells on people on whom we cannot cast spells upon. And it took him some time to explain what that meant, and I didn't understand it, but it makes a lot of sense. And if you listen, for example, to epigeneticists and behavior being passed down through genetics or epigenetics, the Bible and epigenetics says the same thing. It's 7 generations, 5 to 7 generations, that behavior can be passed down genetically. So the Bible said that 2000 years ago, and epigenetics says the same thing. 5, and in extreme cases 7 generations. Behavior can be passed down. So if you just let yourself be enveloped in this negative energy that will be passed down to the next generation and the next generation, and it will get worse and worse with each generation, because rock music will not disappear. And so many people think that Christians have completely lost their minds when they said that rock music is from the devil and so on. But if you think about it, that really it's not so insane, that if I can put a spell on you via different means, why shouldn't I be able to do that with music? Why should? And he also, John Todd also said that Kiss, when they made their first album, they took open credit for the riots happening that they summoned up, and he said they would put a spirit in there, usually Reacher, which as far as I know is RHEAGA, Reacher, and it's a spirit of rebellion, and he said that Kiss, first of all, their name really means knights in satanic service. They said that themselves. And they took open credit for the riots that were happening when they released their first album, which might have coincided with the LA riots. I don't know, I'm not a historian. But it's interesting if you just because people think about using mantras and affirmations, but if you just cut out all the noise, like television, radio, and then it takes years to get rid of all that noise in your head, years. And even I can't really do it to stay completely away from television. I usually need that to calm my mind in the evening to be able to sleep. But if you could be able to cut that out completely, you wouldn't need mantras. You would just on your own become a better and better person, just on your own. A mantra is maybe even less powerful than the opposite, which would be a vow of silence. Because what people constantly do is they curse themselves, like saying things like, my God, I'm such a effing idiot, or something like that. So you're cursing yourself constantly. And usually this comes from an authority figure, and this becomes then a vicious cycle, and you constantly say to yourself things that you heard when you were young, like, I'm such an idiot, I will never amount to anything, I can't do it, it's too hard, I will never make it. All these things. If you use affirmations and mantra, first stop cursing yourself. That would be a good idea. And then you don't even need mantras, because you would just blossom on your own, and just find your place again. It's just we have so much noise going on, and so much like for example, if you look at people, how aggressive they are often, and even young ladies. Yeah, when you drive in the car, I often see people like literally punching their steering wheel because they're so angry and frustrated. And how couldn't you be with these masks stuff and all this stuff? Imagine you have to sit 8 hours a day with this mask on. You can't even breathe with that thing, because these masks here, they were nothing uh, if you compare them with the new masks. You can't breathe with that, and then you have to work 8 hours a day, and you trade your precious time for money, which is also pretty insane. Sometimes I think it would be better if we would just refuse to cooperate. People die every day anyway. Why do you want to close down the whole world because of... I can't even say that, because now then I would be banned from YouTube again. So, like when polio happened, did we close down the whole world because of polio? Or AIDS, HIV? Did we close down the whole... No. You have to accept it. And I don't know why this huge panic. The mortality rate, as far as I know, is 0.03%, which means like every 3,300th person would die from it. So why the panic? Don't understand that. Anyway, I hope it's over soon. I really hope it's over soon. I hope it's over someday, period. Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that, like the story with the mafia goes, when they take something, they don't give it back. Why would they give it back? Because they're nice guys? Like this one mafia guy said, if you have someone by the throat, we never release the throat, never. If you are indebted to us, even if you pay everything back, you will be indebted to us forever. And I don't think they will give anything back. So, like freedom of press, freedom of speech, freedom of... That's the cornerstones of democracy. And we have given that away out of fear of a virus, which, if you really think about it, makes not a lot of sense. But as long as it's in the papers every day, people just accept it. Don't rock the boat. You can't even say that. I'm pretty sure this video will be banned. Anyway, I just had to say that because we are losing ground fast, and usually they are not the good guys who give back what they have taken from you. Once they have it, they never give it back. So once they get you to comply, you will have to comply forever. unless there's some kind of revolution. So now we're going, and it's becoming more and more obvious, soft totalitarianism. So I don't think that it will be like it was under Stalin. It will be soft totalitarianism. So if you don't comply with what we say, you cannot travel, you cannot buy things, you cannot even buy food. And in China it's already implemented, social credit system. That's going to be fun. That's going to be great. And then we will tell our grandchildren stories that once there was a time where people used to dance in huge dance halls with music and lights, and used to have a good time, and they didn't wear masks at all, and so on. I don't think they will give it back. I wouldn't. If I were them, I wouldn't give it back. So, if I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, really. But they basically have closed down the economy of the whole world. This has never happened before. Anyway, thank you for listening.